Hello, SOS Week 4 review. It's a little late. It might even be past midnight, but I'm getting it done. So, this week we learned about locks, semaphores, monitors, and deadlock. That's a lot of synchronization, and so you need to remember it because that's one of our main categories inside of OS. So, critical sections and locks. How do we know that we're getting into a critical section correctly? Well, we have to make sure that there's safety, meaning nothing bad happens. So nothing's being accessed that shouldn't be accessed, nothing's being changed that shouldn't be changed without some sort of safety measure, like we're about to talk about locks or semaphores. Then there's liveness, which counteracts safety because this is the idea that eventually something good will happen. So you're not just sitting there forever just so nothing bad happens. So it's like you're not going to stay in your house all day just so that you don't accidentally catch on fire. You're going to leave the house. And then there's bounded waiting, which basically means that there's guaranteed only a certain amount of threads in the critical section at a time. And failure atomicity, which, like Norman says, is where the computer science community fails a lot, is where a thread is allowed to die inside the critical section. So the way that we provide safety in our critical sections are with locks and semaphores right now. So locks are basically a way to keep more than one thread from entering the critical section at a time. Locks are implemented with test and wait, which is how we get the atomicity that allows the safety to be a feature. So with locks, there could be a priority inversion problem. So a priority inversion problem is whenever one thread that has a lock is of a lower priority than a thread that needs the lock. So to fix this, you have to yield priority, or you have to donate priority. So the lock that the thread that needs the lock will donate the priority because it is a higher priority to the one that has the lock, so that the lock can be it'll finish being used, and then after it finishes being used, the one that needs the lock can get it a lot quicker. And then there's semaphores. Semaphores, there are two different types. There are binary semaphores, which basically act as a lock, and counted semaphores. Semaphores always have a value. So in a binary semaphore, the value is either going to be 0 or 1, and a counted semaphore is going to be any number. Semaphores are used by calling down and up, which basically takes and gives resources back to the semaphore. Whenever a thread calls down and the semaphore is 0, it will block. Deadlocks and monitors. So there are 4 necessary and sufficient criteria for deadlock. Please do try to remember this because it is important. There's mutual exclusion, hold and wait, no preemption, and circular wait. Now, to get rid of deadlock, we only have to break one of these, and one of the easiest ways is to break circular wait by ordering the locks and getting locks in a predefined order. Another way to kind of prevent deadlock in the first place is to use monitors. Monitors always have exactly 1 lock and 0 more condition variables. They can also have resource variables, and that way it encapsulates shared data. And so the monitor has direct access to mutual excluding those variables rather than something like a semaphore, which does not encapsulate that. So signal semantics. Okay, so whenever you have a monitor, you're going to signal threads to wake them back up and whenever they're in the condition variables. So if a thread is waiting, you call signal to a thread so that it'll wake up and it can use the lock and it can get into the critical section. So what's important about that is that there are signal semantics, which are Mesa-Hansen and Hoare semantics. Mesa-Hansen semantics basically say that the thread that called signal will get to continue to run with the lock. On the other hand, in Hoare semantics, the thread that calls signal gives the lock to the thread that you are signaling. The way that we make sure that we always account for either one of these implementations is by waiting, which is another thing that you have to do in monitors. So if you're waiting, you're going to be putting things inside the condition variables. So you always wait inside a while loop. That way you can, basically that's the best way to account for Mesa-Hansen and Hoare semantics. This video was not the best organized, and I am a bit tired, so please forgive me for anything that I've forgotten, and if there's anything I missed, please correct me in the comments so that other people can benefit. If I find some free time, I might decide to go over some practice problems with monitors and semaphores, because it's very important to know how to use those for the purposes of exam questions. So just keep that in mind whenever you're practicing yourself. Okay, bye!